Ni hao! This time we have sort of an exotic band, at least in terms when it comes to the country of origin. So let's welcome Mefitis. This actually came to me from United States of America. Metal Archives, however, lists this one as a Chinese band, but it seems some of the band members are either permanently or temporarily relocated in the United States. So I don't know if it's proper to call this Chinese band or Chinese American band, but then again, I guess most of you over there won't even matter. Anyway, here we go with a kind of a debut CD called Despair. This is not actually a full-length album, but a mini CD of 4 tracks, about 20 minutes in total. And this is self-financed CDR, as you can pretty much see from the reflection. So here we have it. Then let's take a look at this booklet. By the way, it was a little hard time to figure out from the cover what was the proper name. It just says it right here. Mefitis. There's no mention on the cover, so if, in case you just happen to browse this one in a record store, well, now you know. And here we have the lyrics for all these 4 tracks, and then we have a couple of bad photos to give a live image and just a promotional image. So self-financed it is, and pretty much it's kind of obvious why when you start listening to this one. Now, I don't want to be too negative about this release, but I'll start saying that this is not exactly a good one. Now, the thing here with Despair is that it's quite a disoriented, for the lack of a better word. That is, all these 4 tracks are kind of a progressive, experimental, and even to some lengths quite avant-garde-ish in terms of, how the riffs are composed, how all the riffs are put together, and how the overall kind of feeling turns out with this album. Now, this is not to say this album is without its merits and good abilities. Quite the contrary, I think there's lots of interesting ideas bubbling under the surface. However, the first thing which you notice is obviously production. Let's call it surface here. And that is very, very weak. The guitar sound is kind of a wailing and it's kind of a whining and it's kind of like, okay, this is not doing justice for the music right on this EP. But when you go beyond the surface, you find it very hard to enjoy these riffs. Why so? Because it's also chaotic. It's kind of like a mess of riffs entangled into each other without actually making too much sense. Now, obviously, some riffs and melodic parts are better than the rest, but the overall is very, very messy, very chaotic. And because some of those riffs don't exactly make sense, it becomes quite frustrating to listen to this after a couple of spins. Now, this is where the surface level, the production comes into play. When you are not too easily be able to enjoy any given song or some of the riffs, the production kind of approves its point like, okay, we're here just to cause a little bit more mess. And I find that personally quite annoying. Now, vocals are pretty much kind of a mediocre, screamy, high-pitched stuff. It's not for the good or bad. It's just what it is. I think it kind of shows a lack of trying, in my opinion. I think the vocalist should have been pushed or even whipped, for the lack of it, for kind of a better, more excruciating pain kind of way of creating these vocals. Now they're just, let's get it over with and it's done. I don't think they are very, how to put it, they don't have this kind of a passion. They don't have hate. They're kind of like emotionless screaming. And if that's what you are after, then I guess you're more happy than me with the vocals. Now, overall, this Despair is kind of a two-edged sword. On one hand, I mean, there's lots of potential. It's kind of nice that it's actually original because those creative riffs and all that stuff, they are not very typical in the genre. Then again, because of this weak production and some of the, let's say, not so interesting and good riffs, it becomes quite annoying, even though it's just 20 minutes long. So for me, it seems like this is more like second demo instead of proper release, if you know what I mean. For Mefitis, I think they have a lot of things to show when they are more experienced, when they are more honed, polished, and just simply more rehearsing. Because just for the time being, for this EP, the compositions don't make that much of a sense. Way too often. So there you have it. Go check out this Chinese or Chinese American band if you find this description sort of an interesting. There are, songs on the Bandcamp page. You will find the links below. So do what you must. Thank you for watching this review and see you soon with more Rauta reviews coming your way.